Hey guys, Ross on. I wasn't going to do any work today because I'm kind of garbage like that. I'm going to be pretty majorly inconsistent as a person. But I kind of felt I needed to chime in on this one. Fresh off the presses by the Ralph retort, and you're going to have to forgive the phrasing on this one. Zoe Quinn backs away from UN report she just got done endorsing, or just got through endorsing. This is really interesting. This has been sort of making the rounds for the last couple of days. That, you know, we all know that Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian hit up the UN just recently, and what they intended to do was to give information about how they feel that women in tech and women in general online are placed in a position of disadvantage, and through that they're placed in a position of violence, that harassment and just negative comments towards them in general about either their work or their personal life is a form of violence towards women. My personal stance on that is that it's fucking nonsense. That's fucking nonsense. I mean, I don't need to reiterate this point any more than has already been reiterated, but it's garbage. Harassment. Harassment is not nice. Harassment sucks shit. Harassment is unpleasant, but fuck me, it's not violence. It never will be, and it's just not. But the just recently, Zoe Quinn has been stated to distance herself from the report, because what ended up happening was that the UN took what they said and everything else along with it and injected their own narrative. As they were, I don't know how these two women went to the UN and weren't told that the narratives that they were spinning were going to be hijacked. Their narratives were vague anyway. They weren't overly structured, but I think Zoe is reacting to the pretty significant social media blowback that she's been getting. Not from Gamergate. This is important. I don't think she's reacting to Gamergate blowing back at her, or people who are generally against her blowing back at her. That sort of stuff, she shakes that off. But people who she would have naturally considered to be allies have really, really shit on her over this. I'm going to read a quick quote. Again, I'm just going to paraphrase the Ralph retort. This is available on theralphretort.com. You should check those guys out. They do great work. Direct quote. Overall, I'm disappointed. This is Zoe speaking. Overall, I'm disappointed, in reference to the report itself. I should give more context. Overall, I'm disappointed in it, Quinn said to me in the email about the report. It's an important subject that deserves to be addressed, but how it's addressed matters just as much, if not more. Unfortunately, it feels like issues with the report might have ultimately been kneecapped and otherwise potentially in an otherwise potentially useful resource. Again, this is the UN injecting what they want into the report. Here's another quick statement. It's a quote again. Although Quinn spoke to the UN on the day the report came out, she says she has no real connections to the report other than being mentioned in it as an example. It's unfortunate that the report has so many problems and is needlessly bringing in video games as a scapegoat. That's huge. Because she sat beside Anita Sarkeesian, who has been using video games as a scapegoat for so many ills and for so many wrongs for the last couple of years, that this is really pretty stunning. Sorry about that. Randy Harper's input on this is pretty interesting as well. We're just going to flick over to another article on the Ralph Retort. Again, I'm not trying to just steal your content and repackage it here, guys. I am sorry, but I need to give some context to some of this stuff. Of course, a couple of days ago, the Ralph Retort comes out with Hamburger Harper, Randy Harper, we'll say, bashed the UN report that Zoe Quinn co-signed, calling it a hot mess. I think Randy's angle on this was that it shits on the sex industry. It shits on sex workers. And again, that's a little nugget that you can take in from the UN. That the UN hates sex work of any capacity, because you have to keep in mind that the UN is dominated and controlled by moral authoritarians that they just sit on the right. The UN proposes itself as this progressive forum of free ideas and thoughts, but more often than not, it's being used to push the agendas of pissy little nations with uptight moral backbones. It's hilarious. I'm not going to read Randy Harper's tweets, but it's mostly to that effect. I don't think Randy Harper really gives much of a shit about freedom of expression, because people have used free speech to shit on Randy Harper as well. But I think Randy Harper, anything that strikes a note with her, she will definitely freak out about it and come to its criticism. So I'm very interested in the fact that Zoe Quinn has distanced herself from this report. Didn't expect that. But I can probably assure you it's not because of criticism within people who are naturally aligned against Zoe Quinn. I would say it's criticism from people inside of her own circle. I doubt Anita Sarkeesian is going to say anything about this at all. I could very easily see Sarkeesian just not addressing it, because this is fine for Anita. I don't think Anita exists in a sex-positive place with regards to her personal position on feminism, and I could almost say that Anita probably doesn't like sex work either. Anything that seems to present women in any sort of sexualized capacity seems completely against Anita's train of thought. So that's pretty interesting. Interesting to see Zoe Quinn distance herself from this. Really, really interesting. And not surprised that the UN butchered what was said and manipulated it for their own purposes and their own uses. That's what you get. When you play with those big boys, that's what you get. You get fucked. So congratulations. You assisted in the creation of a botched, dodgy shithouse report by the fucking UN, who use everything that's placed with them as a means to push their own moral agenda. Good job. And now you have to back away from it, because you're a silly bitch. And that's what you are. You're a silly, silly bitch. And I don't mean that as a gendered insult, I just mean that generally. You a stupid ass bitch. Congratulations. I'm Ross Dunn. Like, comment, and subscribe.